Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening. Our top story tonight, the government will bring in legislation creating a child-safe framework for all organisations this week in Parliament. Cost of living will also be front and centre during the final sitting of the year.
With bills to pay, Suzanne Lavelle is being forced into tough decisions.
I don't shop regularly anymore. I've had to stop taking medication that I was taking for the long COVID because that's just unaffordable. Groceries are bought day-to-day basis.
Labor are sparking the cost of living debate again. This week they'll introduce a bill to cap future power price rises, saying a recent 11% hike was too strong a shot. A bitter taste left in the mouth of businesses too.
The cost of everything is going up, so if we can, help with something, then that's certainly going to be a big help.
The cost of doing business is becoming prohibitive for a lot of businesses in Tasmania.
The government won't support that bill, saying it's uncosted. In this week's sitting, they'll bring on child-safe framework.
For all organisations, not just government, so that children everywhere have got a higher level of protection and that adults everywhere have got a higher level of responsibility.
There's only one sitting week left in what's been a heavily disrupted year in Parliament, with only 25 bills passing. That would make it the least productive year since the Liberals came to power in 2014.
They've prorogued the Parliament twice. They've lost a Premier and 3 ministers from their cabinet.
If Labor's measure of success is more laws to tell people how they should live their lives, then they're on the wrong track.
Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Hobart's controversial proposed short-stay accommodation cap has been placed under a cloud. The council's lawyers say they've been given the wrong advice by government.
A limit on whole house short-stay accommodation permits was heralded as one solution to Hobart's rental crisis.
There will still be growth allowed in the visitor accommodation permits, but within very particular zones.
After passing City Council in July, it was to be considered by the Tasmanian Planning Commission later this month, but it's been paused. They had received advice on how to enact it from former local government minister Roger Jensch. The council's lawyers writing to say they now consider that advice incorrect.
And it will be a matter for the Tasmanian Planning Commission to see whether it's really in their jurisdiction to handle this.
A directions hearing will now be held on November 28, the Deputy Premier defending the government's advice.
Yeah, so I've had a look at the advice and we're happy with it. The Tasmanian Planning Commission will resolve it.
The council still plans to push ahead with a cap.
The council will do its utmost to reduce the impact of short-stay accommodation. We really want to find solutions for the housing crisis that so many Tasmanians and Hobartians in particular are facing.
A solution sorely needed. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Thousands have braved Kunyani Mount Wellington's mighty slopes and monstrous winds, competing in what's known as the world's toughest half marathon. The Point 2 Pinnacle is a true test of physical and mental endurance, with many racing in the name of charity.
Warming up their muscles on a wintry morning before putting on their game face. Around 3,300 were registered to race in this year's Point to Pinnacle, considered the world's toughest half marathon. The starting line, a colourful blend of new competitors.
I've never done it before, I've always had it on the bucket list, so I thought I'd just tick it off this year.
As well as those returning to take vengeance on Kunyani Mount Wellington.
We did it a few years ago before COVID and didn't break the 2-hour mark, so I wanted to come back and have another go. So
get it?
Got it this year, so absolutely stoked. Yeah.
Some relying on family to go the distance.
This is Paige, my daughter, and I'm looking at running with her.
Yes, yeah.
Having a good family
time.
That's
my best motivated.
Others travelling great lengths to be here.
I'm here with some other buddies from Canada. We're just travelling around Australia for 7 months, and we're here in Hobart. We heard about this race and we extended our stay.
Many doing it for the greater good.
It's all for men's mental health and suicide prevention, really good cause.
It's sort of a people-powered event, and
there's a lot of fundraising and people doing it for charity.
Volunteers and spectators blown away by both the wild winds and the racegoers' outstanding efforts.
Today you can really see that it is a tough course, and I know the last 2K with this wind gusting up to 60k an hour, it's very, very hard on runners for this last part of the course.
Those who conquered the climb have taken home a well-earned medal, and a chill only a hot shower can defrost. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
The Health and Community Services Union is advising members not to hand back a $2,000 bonus that they were incorrectly paid. A small amount of workers who were eligible have not yet received the frontline health payment, while it was paid to some who weren't due to receive it. The union believes that many of these staff should have been included and shouldn't pay it back. The Health Department says all entitled employees will get the cash, and it is working on a repayment plan with those who mistakenly received it. People whose lives have been impacted by fatal and serious road crashes have been commemorated across the state as Tasmanian authorities marked the World Day of Remembrance for Victims. Emergency service workers tasked with dealing with crashes and the impact of fatalities recognised.
Often described as a shockwave that goes through an entire community of families, communities, sporting clubs. It touches so many lives when these tragedies happen on our roads.
The state's road toll currently sits at 49, with hundreds more seriously injured. Record crowds have rocked out in Launceston as the Gem and Mineral Show returned for the first time since 2019. Some of the state's rarest rocks were on display, with the event a hit for some of our smallest lepidurists.
Young rock fans fossick for an exciting find. Thousands turning out to see some of the wonders from the earth and beyond. Trader Putsu bringing his moon rock along, but raving at what can be found right here in our backyard.
It's a lot of geology in a small area, a lot of different varieties. The crocoite's the best in the world.
More than 90 traders packed the Elfin Sports Centre, keen to spruik Tasmania's unique gems and minerals, including some like stitchtite, which can be found nowhere else on Earth. The northeast is a jewel for gem cutter Javier, who fossicks for natural sapphires.
It's the area of Derby. All the creeks around Derby is the main area where you can find the best colour and all different colours.
But it's not for the faint-hearted.
Tasmanian sapphires, or sapphire in general, is the very rare gemstone. So it's really hard and it's really hard work to do it.
The Northern Tasmanian Lapidary Club has taken over the reins of the yearly show, keen to polish the minds of the next generation.
Lots of young people that are interested, which is excellent, asking lots of questions and really wanting to get into anything gem, mineral, rocks, which is really exciting for us.
We love getting kids into it because that builds a future for us.
Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
It all came up roses at Longford as an iconic festival returned to full strength at Woolmers. Thousands of visitors came through the gates to see and smell the flowers in full bloom.
It's wonderful. It's why it's here, and people out enjoying the nice fresh air and wandering and no pressure. It's just wonderful.
The World Heritage Site boasts more than 3,000 roses, all cared for by volunteer gardeners. Riders have put pedal to the metal at the Tamar Valley Cycle Challenge. It's the 20th anniversary of Sally's Ride, with the event expanded in recent years. The family favourite now offers 5 different courses catering to all abilities.
Anyone that can ride a bike, we have a ride for you, and that's today we've got a good mix of cyclists across all 5 rides.
Proceeds from the event go towards local projects improving mental health in the Tasmanian community. The nation's longest-running youth dance company has celebrated its 3rd decade. The 30-year anniversary event for Tasmanian dance school Stompin' was held at Launceston's Princess Square last night, the same location where it first performed in 1992. The show was titled Seeking Attention, shining a light on our young artists. As we saw earlier in our bulletin tonight, the infamous Point to Pinnacle half marathon was held today. Millie Clark was the first female across the finish line, clocking 1 hour and 40 minutes. Fellow Tasmanian James Hanson coming first in the men's division, scoring a time of 1 hour and 25 minutes despite having never attempted a distance like this before.
I hit the front about 10k to go, so it was a long time by myself, and running so slow you're thinking these guys are going to catch me here, but held on and got the win.
Meanwhile, Daniel Haller came first in the men's Pinnacle walk, with Alyssa Franklin following closely behind in the women. The Hobart Hurricanes have finished their regular season with a stumble but qualified for finals. The Hurricanes were sent into bat against the table-topping Sydney Sixers, Mignon Dupree helping them to a solid 156.
Crashed over cover, beautiful shot.
Elise Perry and Ashley Gardner steering the star-studded Sixers home. Finishing the season in third, the Canes will play for their lives this Wednesday night.
Good evening. 19 in Hobart and Launceston today, Burnie 16 and 18 in Devonport. A top of 20 for Friendly Beaches and St Helens at Bushy Park and Maria Island 18, 16 at Smithton and Strawn and Lyowini 11. Scattered low-level cloud covered most of the state today, while mid to high-level cloud associated with a rain band and thunderstorms extends over the Tasman Sea, and another cold front approaches the west coast of the state with cloud following over the Bight. Tomorrow a cold front is expected to cross the state with a trough to follow, and a high pressure ridge extends from south of WA to central Australia. North to northwesterly winds of 20 to 30 knots, reaching up to 35 knots throughout the day. There's a gale wind warning from the far northwest coast to the southwest coast, and a strong wind warning for remaining waters. A minor flood warning for the Macquarie River, an initial minor warning for the South Esk, with a flood watch for parts of the north and northeast. There's a sheep graziers warning for most of the state, and a road weather alert for the Western, Central Plateau and Upper Derwent Valley districts. And finally, there's a bushwalkers alert for the Western and Central Plateau districts. Showers easing later in the day for Hobart and Dover tomorrow, ooze 12. A shower or two for Launceston and Devonport 13 at Scottsdale. 12 degrees in Burnie and Strawn, and showers and becoming windy at Stanley. St Helens and Swansea a shower or two and 15 and 13 at Ross. And tomorrow's UV sits at a very high 8. Showers about the west, south and Bass Strait Islands on Tuesday with possible hail in the morning. Similar conditions on Wednesday, mainly fine elsewhere. And showers about the west and far south on Thursday, mainly fine elsewhere. Sunny in Brisbane and Cairns tomorrow, Melbourne 14, a shower or two in Adelaide and 34 in Darwin. Right now in Hobart it's 14, Launceston 13 and Devonport 12 and breezy. And Luke, Kath and Kim are just moments away from returning to our screens. It must be time to put on the footy franks and crack open a bottle of Tia Maria.
I've got the Chardonnay ready to go. Thanks for that. And that's all your news for this Sunday evening. Have a lovely and safe night. Good night.